Hello, group leaders and groups. This is the Cliff Note version of Saturday and Sunday, October 21st and 22nd talk. The title of it was Living for Something Greater, and we've been in this Serve series. And basically, I prefaced the 5 points that we're going to get into with 6 introductory items. And very quickly, they were, you were created to serve God. Number 2, a contagious faith is the only truly alive faith. 3, you've been gifted to serve God. 4th, you have been challenged to a full dedication. 5, helping people grow is one of life's greatest joys. 6, some things just aren't worth living for. And then I posed the question out of Acts 6, verses 1 through 7. What does serving do? The first one was this: service facilitates fresh growth. When we serve, things happen. It's recorded in verses 1 and verse 7 that the church grew because of the acts of service and the service of the gospel through the first century church. Number 2, service unleashes sustained compassion. As we serve, we continue to have compassion and more compassion, not just for the people we're serving, but because of the great need regarding the lost. The third point was service increases church unity. As you recall, there were the Hebraic Jewish widows and the Hellenistic Jewish widows, and a little bit of a fight broke out in that first century church, and the needs of those ladies had to be met, and the way to do it was to get more volunteers to do stuff. And the leaders of that church picked 7 people to help with that ministry, and it turned out that those people began to work together, and unity came back into the church body. Number 4, service focuses our spiritual gifts. When we serve, all of a sudden, serve out of our giftings, we begin to realize I was made for this, and great things happen. We don't leave it up to someone else, but we do it, and we get in the game. Our giftings are there to be used, and we need to focus those giftings. And 5, service releases new leaders. The example that we gave out of verse 3 and verse 8, where Stephen and Philip, Stephen began bussing tables and serving the widows and cleaning up after the food ministry. And before long, he became known as this super server, super servant that led into becoming one of the most dynamic preachers. His message is recorded there in the book of Acts. And it basically led to him being killed. And his fellow co-servant worker was Philip, who fled after that event to Samaria, not to hide, not to get away from everything, but he went and he planted a church. So a server becomes a great preacher, becomes a martyr. A server becomes a church planter, becomes an evangelist, and Philip planted a church that had an enormous revival. And so as we put our ministry gifts, the gifts, things that God has given us, into play, we get into the game, we get our uniform dirty. Serving is a little bit messy, but that's okay, because we do it out of great compassion to serve others with the wonderful message, the gospel, and the wonderful hope of Christ. Thank you.